It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Vitelle. She's in the building. She'll be talking about overcoming trauma and also the stories behind that. What's going on, Vitelle? How are you doing today?
What's happening? I'm doing great. I love the energy. You had me at the first big, but then it got even bigger and I was excited.
Well, it is an honor and a
Love it.
privilege, a treat and a treasure. And, we're talking about overcoming trauma. And someone might be thinking, Shay, trauma means different things to different people. Can she take a moment and just share what does trauma mean these days that we'll be talking about? And what does it even look like? A
Yeah,
loaded question, I'm
absolutely.
sure.
Right, exactly. But I love that we're starting out with that because it's so important that people understand that a lot of times, the fact that I deal with trauma, people are often turned off by that. They shy away from that. They don't want to talk about that. It's perceived as something extremely negative. So we don't want to touch on that topic. But it's a touchy topic, but somebody's got to do it, right? So I always tell people that trauma is whatever that means for you. If you step on a Lego, you may never look at Legos the same. A lot of us have been in that situation, right? But there's even more extreme traumas like going through a pandemic, losing loved ones. Grief is a very extreme trauma. Grief is probably, to me, one of the most extreme things a human being can go through. And yet, a lot of us, we have to go through that at some point. So, trauma can range from the simplest, what may seem like the simplest thing. It's what has an effect on you. It's how it affects you, and it changes your behavior. It changes the way you think and feel about certain things or items or people. It affects you in some way moving forward. Life is not the same for you anymore because of that thing that happened, whatever that thing may be.
And I'm curious as you were speaking, I don't want to oversimplify it. Great definition. I'm curious why are people then struggling to overcome a trauma or a setback? And again, it's a loaded question, but I'm thinking, they've got TikTok these days. They can go to Instagram and get motivated on the drop of a dime. I mean, they've got AI.
Right.
They can go to AI tomorrow and say, I'm not feeling good today. Please talk to me and tell me what I should do. And I'm not making jest of it, but I'm curious from your perspective. Here's the question. Why do people struggle today to bounce back from trauma?
I mean, there's a lot of answers to that, really, but the first thing that comes to my mind is that a lot of people don't understand that they are traumatized. They don't see what they've been through as trauma or having had an effect on them. But the reality is, all of us that are alive here, we've experienced something, and all of those experiences have shaped and formed who we are. So if we are able to recognize that we're doing something wrong or doing something that may be having a negative effect on other people or a negative effect on our work or our progress or just the ability to live our best life, that that is something that needs to be addressed. So recognizing that it's something that needs to be fixed and that you need to work on or you need to heal from, that's the first step, and that's the step that a lot of people don't want to take.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that might be one. Okay, Shay, I want to get into maybe one, two, or three things that I could do to overcome trauma. But as I'm listening to Vitelle, Shay, I didn't get a chance to read her bio. I'm listening right now on a podcast. Somebody right now is listening on the on-demand stations. By the way, you might be watching us on social media. I'm like, I don't know who this person is, although you are very famous, by the way. So if you can, take a moment and we'll slow down and speed up. They want to know, the message. What's your backstory so we know who you are? And what was that defining moment that led you to really focus on helping others overcome trauma?
Sure. So that was a lot of questions in one, but I will take a step back and first introduce myself, guys. I am Vitel. I'm an actress first. I always say that because that's my main profession, but I wear many hats, and my main purpose and goal and mission in life is to walk in my calling, which is to help other people to heal. And so I have figured out a way to take my ability to act and perform and direct and all of these hats that I wear as an author and all of these things, and use it as a platform to help other people heal from trauma. So I actually tell my own personal stories through my plays, through my books. All of the projects that we produce, whether that's a movie or a live production, it's all unique in its own way. Us Three Productions is the name of the company that I founded as well. Forgot to mention that, but that's what we do. So through the arts and entertainment, we're communicating with people a message that oftentimes goes missed. It's communicated a lot through music, through preaching, through, like you said, YouTube videos. We see these messages all the time, this encouragement, this inspiration, this how to overcome, these tips and advice and all these things, but it hits different when it's presented in the form of a show, because how many movies have you seen that just really resonated with you and sat with you? Like, it's just different when you see it for yourself. So with my projects and everything that we produce at Us Three Productions, I'm telling my own personal experience, and oftentimes I'm telling it even as I'm going through it. You see in the background here, one of my shows, The Face of Homeless, is a very well known stage production. And I was actually producing that and performing live in it and doing all the things while I was homeless living in my car. And so the testimony just hit completely different, because it's like live and now, and this is what's happening, and this is how you can overcome. And if I'm not living proof, I don't know what is, because people have literally followed me on this journey, and it's not over yet. So that's a little bit of background about who I am and what I do.
And you were so authentic. I guess what I'm thinking now is, number one, folks, like, this is great, Jay. So what's step one, step two, and step three? I know we're making it overly simplified, but and we know it's a very serious matter. So I want y'all to think I'm joking and jesting. But if you're out there right now and you're going through something very difficult, and whether you acknowledge it or not, and it's there, you're wondering, okay, Shay, I want to connect with her, but what's the first thing she recommended someone like myself does? And then what's the second thing? And then what's the third thing? And this is a broad stroke, but she's here to serve. So take a moment if you can. And what's step one, step two, and step three you recommend to someone is watching, listening, and leaning forward right now?
Oh, I love your questions, and they're very specific, and at the same time, it is going to be a very broad answer, because trauma can look like anything. I don't know what you may be going through, but I know we're all going through something in life. And so the first thing, as I mentioned earlier, is just to acknowledge it. If you see the problem, say something, acknowledge it for yourself. What is the problem exactly? Trying to figure out where it comes from. Like, you really have to do your own self research and a background check. You gotta, how they used to say it, check yourself. You gotta check yourself, and that's number one. And once you see that there is a problem, you might have to dive deeper in some cases, depending on how deep that trauma goes or how far back it goes. It might be something recent, it might be something from childhood that you may have suppressed that memory. So just trying to understand where that comes from and allowing yourself grace. I would say allow yourself grace is step number two, because understanding that you're a human being. I think a lot of times the reason we don't want to face that we have some trauma to heal from is because in that we have to acknowledge that something's wrong with us. We have to acknowledge that, either we did something wrong, or we chose a wrong decision, or we went down the wrong path, or whatever. We have to acknowledge whatever mistake that may be, or whatever that may be. Again, very broad, because it can cover any topic here. But we have to acknowledge that. And so allowing yourself grace to understand that you are a human being, you're going to make mistakes, you're not perfect, nobody is. And just giving yourself permission to feel whatever the feelings are that are attached to that trauma or that experience that you're having to now recall in order to heal. And then I say apply practical applications. So again, like going to YouTube and doing your research, Google, find out what companies in your community, organizations, therapy is a great step to take. Like, that's where the practical application comes in on step three, whether that's therapy for you. In some cases it can be, you might have to have yourself admitted if you realize, for example, you have an alcohol problem or drug problem or anything like that requires, like, I need to actually go somewhere so that professionals can assist me with this? Do I need medication? Do I need, there's so many problems and solutions. So to try to cover that in 3 steps, hopefully I did a good job with that, but that would be the
No,
three steps
you
that I
did
would recommend in
fantastic.
general.
No, no, that was spot on. And as you was talking, you mentioned the word therapy. And in some cultures, at least in my culture, going to the therapist is like, oh my gosh. Take a
Right.
moment and talk about the mindset. And you broke it down, which was really smart. But you said, whether you have to seek a medical or a professional medical help, whether you have to go to a therapist or whether it's going to a coach or going to someone to get help, talk about not why it's important, but having the right mindset. Because I know, and at least this is just my own world, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want you to say Shay knows everything, but this is a negative. I mean, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't go do that. I'm going to go see the minister of the church and they can just, pray for me and I'll be just fine. And I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm not making fun of that. So the question I'm asking her really is therapy. Talk about the mindset of therapy and how you can get it from different sources because it is so important.
Right, right. Yeah, even the word therapy in itself can be a lot of definitions. Obviously we think about people who went to school for this and they're trained to do this. And so they're, licensed therapists that can assist you. But sometimes therapy is having a girls' night out. Sometimes therapy is guy time. Sometimes therapy is me time or getting out of nature and getting grounded. So therapy can also look like a lot of things and a lot of solutions for different people, and for different problems. So that in itself is very vague, but just understanding that, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever the problem looks like for you and whatever the solution looks like for you, again, that's where that grace comes in. And it's not just a one solution fix either. It's never just a one solution fix. You might need to try all of those things. You might need to have gym therapy and shopping therapy and all of the different therapies before you actually feel like you're making progress. And like you said, like, I'm a very spiritual person as well, and I believe in the power of prayer. Sometimes you have to have some follow up. Sometimes nowadays it's not just an instant snap miracle. Like, God provide financially for me. You wake up and there's money at the end of your bed. It doesn't happen like that. So you have to also use your common sense that God gave us, and faith without works is dead, they say. So you have to apply the faith, in the steps that you take from that point on. Even once the prayer is done, the prayer may be the initial step forward, and then continue to apply what's necessary to get that healing that God's already provided for you. But what are you going to do to get to it, to get from where you are to where you want to be?
And take a moment, spot on again, talk about what type of mindset you have, are there affirmations you use? Because one of the things we're going to get into later, ladies and gentlemen, is that she's able to take action even in the result when there's uncertainty or there's fear. She's able to take action. So the question I'm really asking is around mindset. Are there affirmations she tells herself? Are there certain beliefs that she holds inside of herself that come from within? I mean, obviously people are going to help you through things, but I guess the question I really have is, how do you really drive your mindset and your belief systems that allow you to keep taking action, which is very difficult to do?
Right, right. Yeah, that mindset is a powerful thing. My team can tell you we've been working on that lately, and it applies to a lot of different things. But even when it comes to our business and growing it, taking it to the next level and scaling things, like, I had to really work on my own mindset when it came to my beliefs surrounding money and surrounding the ability to prosper and get rich and surrounding what I feel like I'm capable of. I had to deal with imposter syndrome and all of these different things. And that too is a healing process, and all healing processes take time. So there's not just one overnight fix it. I have a great mindset now, and now I'm moving forward. I'm going to be better, and nothing's ever going to go back to. It's a process of allowing yourself that if you do fall off this bandwagon, you can get right back on it, and you can try again, and you keep doing it again and again and again. I often compare it to a diet. Nobody just wakes up one day and says, I'm going to be skinny. I'm going to have Janet Jackson abs, and that is it. I'm going to the gym from now on. I'm eating right. Like, we all, at some point, we might make up our mind to do that. And that's the first step. But we're going to fall off sometimes. We might eat a cookie. We might, just slip up a little bit. And so just knowing that you're a human being, that might happen, but I still have my mind set on this specific thing that I want to happen. And so I'm going to keep going in that direction, no matter how long it takes, no matter if I have to fall off and get back on 100 times, that is irrelevant. That does not mean that you lost, that you only can lose if you quit. So just having your mind made up and your mind set to what you want to see, and write that down, write the vision and make it plain, have it made up in your mind of exactly what that looks like for you. That's that success, that healing, that end of the road, where do you win at journey, and then start walking on it and just making the steps. And it's the mindset is so difficult because I believe our mindset comes from, our upbringing and how we were raised and what we learned. And so it's hard to erase 20 something years or 30 something years or wherever you're at when you decide to start this journey, of maybe you were taught wrong, or maybe your mindset was not correct about this. And so you have to allow yourself some time to adjust it, recognizing what is now right to you, and then keep taking the steps to stay on that path, whatever those steps look like. And if one thing isn't working, try another one. Surround yourself by people who are where you want to be and not where you were, not attached to your old mindset. You have to change your surroundings completely to change your mindset. And it is a process, and it does not happen overnight.
A process doesn't happen overnight. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so open and transparent so far, by the way. We appreciate that. We have a segment here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you wait for this magical moment to be able to say those words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way. For all the other folks who are tuning in for the very first time, this is your first time here with us. You're tuning in. Welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra at the show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means the past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past has been or how bright and sunny the past has been, the past no longer equals the future. And so the question I have for Vitelle on the other side is, number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was a moment in your life, you said so many, maybe it was when you were homeless, but that you had a setback, and how did you bounce back from that setback?
Okay, first part of the question. What do I hear when you say today is my January 1st? So I love that. I love that concept because yeah, I personally am already ready for January 1st. We're getting close to it now, so I feel like that's where I want to be. I'm not even counting these last 2 months. Honestly, I'm already on vacation like most of us. So I'm ready for January 1st. But you're right, it is an opportunity to just start over again, whether you do New Year's resolutions, or it just definitely feels like a fresh start. And I think that energy is kind of in the air when everyone's feeling that same thing at this time of the year. So I love that. And like I mentioned earlier, this healing journey, this process, it is always a January 1st. Like every day should feel like a January 1st. When you wake up, you get a whole new opportunity, a whole new chance. That's not easy for us to do, but that's something that I'm thankful I have the ability to do that. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yesterday sucked. We're gonna pretend it didn't happen and start all over and start new. So yeah, I love that concept. But the second part of the question,
A setback you
so
had.
how did I a specific instance, and how did I overcome? So let's talk about the homeless situation since you brought that up. So yeah, I was homeless, living in my car with my children for a period of time, and um, man, how did I rephrase the question for me one more time just so I make sure I answer this right?
Yeah, I'm just curious. The point for the audience is just that you had a setback, and they're curious, how you able to overcome that trauma, or how you're able to bounce back. There's a number of folks that are going through it now, and maybe curious, like, how did she do it, Shay? What were some things she did to bounce back from it?
Right. And I guess the answer, I mean, it really just ties back into what I was saying. It's like just not giving up, just continuing to start all over again each day, continuing to allow myself grace. Like all the tools that I've mentioned so far up to this point, those are all the things that I actually did and that worked for me. And I say worked past tense, but they're still working for me because there are still things that I'm working to overcome, and there's still things that I'm healing from, even in regards even to that homeless situation. There's many situations that I've been through, but it's just not giving up. I don't know that there's a resilience in me, I don't know if that's in everyone. I wish that I could bottle it and sell it and put it in everyone. But I'm thankful for that resilience, because sometimes I really sit back and question myself, like, how in the world am I still going? Because I've experienced the depression and the suicidal ideation, and just not wanting to wake up the next morning and not wanting to start at all, like, just even getting to the point where it's like, okay, God, I'm not going to take myself out of here. I wouldn't do that. But can you do it for me? Because I don't want to be here. Just that extreme to where just don't let me wake up the next morning. So I understand getting to that point, and I question, how did I even the next day, do that? And sometimes it takes more than a day. Sometimes I can't wake up the next morning and start over, and I just say, you know what, we'll write this day off too, and we'll start again tomorrow if we're blessed to see tomorrow. So it's just taking one step at a time, putting one foot in front of the other, and just refusing to give up, whatever that looks like for you. Like, because understanding that storms don't always last. Whatever the situation that you're in right now, whether that's homelessness or depression or whatever you're feeling right now, at some point it's going to be over. Even if I can't do anything specifically today to make it be over, I'm going to do what I can, and then trust that tomorrow's a new day and a new opportunity, and something's going to happen at some point. Like, just that hope and that drive, it just has to be there somewhere, in us as humans. But you have to do something to feed it too. Sometimes I can't even pray for myself. I just turn on a video on YouTube and I let that pray it out, and I just listen to it and just let it resonate in my ears, because I can't do anything else right now. So it's going to be different every day. It's going to be different with every situation. But just refusing to give up, that's the only way you lose, is if you quit. So you just
Yeah,
have to
so
beat that.
transparent, so honest. I appreciate that, by the way. That homeless story to me, that really resonated. So I haven't been there, but I have friends who have, and some have not been able to bounce back. And so it's a very serious matter, and it's a one a deep form of trauma. And here you are today. One of the questions I get to ask when we have a few moments, and we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I always like to frame it for the audience, so the audience is clear. I'm not actually come off the mountain with the 10 Commandments here. That's not what we're asking. And you've read so many books through your lifetime that it's probably not even fair to ask. You've watched more videos than you can probably even remember. Yet, if you had to step back and say, of all the mentors and all the videos and everything I watch, here's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given that I want to share with the audience, what would it be and why?
That's so good. I would like to first admit that I have not read as many books as I would like to in my lifetime. I've probably watched more videos than the latter. But and the mentor questions are so difficult for me. Honestly, I think that's something that I'm struggling with right now, because I've always felt like my mentors are people that I don't actually have a personal relationship with. So, like Tony Robbins, for example, I have not had the chance to meet him yet, but I feel like he's my mentor, because, like, I didn't have the encouraging upbringing that I would have hoped for. And so now I'm learning in this season in my life to surround myself by where I want to be. I'm learning to surround myself by people that are going to consistently feed me. And that just was a recent beginning of this journey. So a lot, pretty much everything that Tony Robbins says, I can say that it has inspired me so much. Um, I can't think of really a specific moment
That's
or a
perfect.
specific thing right now. I mean, it's just constantly, feeding it to myself. Recently I started going to Rock City Church, and the pastor there, PMJ, everything he said in his last sermon was like spot on, and I'm taking notes and writing down, because we have a tendency to I want to say forget, but like really just we take on so much information, and it's so inspiring in that moment, and you're just ready to run with it and go and apply it to your life. And then you leave and you have to go back to reality, and then it kind of just settles and you forget. And that's why I take notes, so that I can refer back to it. But one of the things he said recently was, repetition breeds revelation. And that one stuck with me. I wrote it down, so that helped it stick. Um, but it's like we have to hear something so many times. Like sometimes we'll beat ourselves up because it's like, okay, I know this. Why am I not doing better? Because I know better, so I should do better. So why did I have to hear that again? That thing that I already knew. I've heard it before, but now it just hit differently or it resonated differently. So, you have to get that repetition sometimes in order to at some point get that revelation that really makes you apply it to your life and apply that change. So that would be, I guess, my most recent quote that stuck.
But let me tell you, thanks for sharing and being so authentic and honest. And, we're all sitting here looking over your right shoulder, our left shoulder, and they're like, Shay, what's some of the hobbies she has? She says she does production. There's something back there, Nine Lives. We can't miss it. They're curious. I'm curious. What in the LL Cool J is Nine Lives, by the way? Um, why was the why was it put together, and why is it so important to you? Like, it's right there, so it's in the camera
Right.
shot. So take a moment. Here's the question. Let me be clear. Nine Lives. What is it? What's the significance to you?
Yes. So I actually have it in my hand as well. It's behind me, but it's also here in my hand, Nine Lives. So the world tour is coming up in 2025. And Nine Lives is a one woman show in which I play all of these different characters that you see on this poster back here. I play nine different characters. All of them represent a different type of trauma or a different experience, traumatic experience that I have had in my personal life. So I'm sharing my testimony through these different characters, nine different people, and it's a live production. You just have to be there. It's not something you can just watch on DVD. It is part movie, part live in person performance, part concert, even. It's just an amazing combination of all the talents and gifts produced from us three productions, produced from this book, which I will show you as well. This is I Am, a Poetic Ensemble, which is available on Amazon right now. It is my memoir, story of my life written in poetry format. And so first came the book, then came the show. The show actually happened during the pandemic when I couldn't put on any of my other shows that have these large casts and extravagant backgrounds, everything going on with the cast and crew, because we were isolated and we were on, you know, we couldn't do that. So this is where us Nine Lives came in, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna play all the characters. I'm gonna be the background and the camera person and all this stuff. Like I did not want to let a pandemic, which we all here experienced. That was a traumatic experience, by the way. If you're someone watching that thinks you have not been through any traumatic experience, that was one of them that you can count. And so I didn't let that stop me. I refused to stop doing what I know I'm called to do because of the pandemic. And so I just adjusted the way I do things and made a whole one woman show. And it has since been requested all around the world, all over the place. So we decided to go ahead and lock in the first nine cities of 2025 and make the 2025 World Tour. And so we are coming to every city from Orlando, Florida to Bowling Green, Kentucky, all in between, and even taking it also as well to Costa Rica. And we're accepting requests for other states and countries. There is no limit to where this show is going to go. But the point of it is that we are, in sharing my testimony, we are helping people to heal. We are helping people to overcome depression, to eradicate homelessness, to help people who are dealing with domestic violence, suicidal ideation, all of these things that I can speak personally from firsthand experience on through the shows that help it resonate with people even better and helping people to heal. So that's what that show is all about.
I love it, man. You are so involved. You're so busy. You've got so much going on, but you're making the world a much better place. More folks have joy and fulfillment because of what you're doing. As we come down the home stretch, people want to know, what do you do for fun first? Like, we're not out saving the world. We're not on the stage. We're not out doing plays. Like, what do you do for fun?
Man, I'll tell you, I don't have fun enough for one, but I think that's because my work is fun. Like it's fulfilling and it's fun to do this. So I have to force myself to take those moments to step away sometimes for my own mental health because I know better, so I got to do better, right? Got to walk my talk. And so I think going camping is my main one, probably. I like to go camping in the woods by myself, which is unusual, I know, for women these days. But I like to just disappear in the woods and just disconnect from all of it, pretend none of it exists. And so that's fun for me, as well as I call them the Great Eight. They consist of the children that I gave birth to, as well as the children that are my nieces and nephews. So there's 8 of them total, and I like to take them on vacation. I know that probably doesn't sound very fun or relaxing, or probably shouldn't even be called a vacation to most of you, but I like to go away with 8 kids by myself, and that is my therapy. They are my why, and they remind me of why I work so hard in between our little vacations. And yeah, so that's my fun time.
I love it, by the way. Thank you for being so honest. As we come down the home stretch, a 2-part question. Number 1, how can folks best connect with you? And number 2, what type of clients are you looking to work with if your firm's taking on any right now?
Oh, that's a great question. So, the best way to connect with me, and I'll just keep it simple for you guys, is to go to vitelle.net. That's VITELLE.net. I have links there to all of my social media platforms, as well as you guys can text me at 770-626-5075. I have a text subscription list, I have an email blast list. There's so many ways to keep in touch, but most of it is found right there at Vitelle.net. So definitely connect with me. And I'm looking we really, again, the possibilities are endless for us through productions. So we say the sky is the limit, but no, not even the sky is the limit for us. We are definitely looking for more sponsors and even vendors. We have vendor opportunities often at our shows. We're looking for sponsors who want to advertise with us, especially on our 9 Lives World Tour coming up, whether that's a local sponsor specifically for that show or a national or worldwide sponsor as we expand it. We're also absolutely accepting team members. If you're interested, that is definitely something you guys can reach out about. We have periods in which we do like a hiring event where we take on so many people and kind of weed through them and who's really serious and really passionate about our purpose and our plan. And so team members are always welcome to submit, as well as actors. You guys can text that number as well if you're interested in auditions, casting calls. We're always in need of actors, behind the scenes, crew. There's just so many opportunities to get involved. So I definitely want to encourage everyone who's anyone to reach out and find out where you fit in.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thank you so much, and shout out to your team.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for allowing us to broadcast onto your smart device. If you're watching on Apple TV right now, or maybe you were on your iPad or your iPhone, or maybe we're on your computer. Maybe we're just a podcast in your ears right now. You may be somewhere working out, listening to us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Without you, there is no show, by the way. And I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that no matter what's going on in your life right now, that you are someone who's special, you're someone who's unique. No hyperbole here. Really, serious. You're here for a purpose. You've got greatness inside you. And no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really, really well and you're going to that next level, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming, the one thing I know for sure is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown. It ain't changed. It really hasn't. The Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. We out of here. Peace. Thanks a lot, Vitelle. We appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye. See you.
Thank you.